Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to go over the third week of April in my Budget by Paycheck workbook. I have all the numbers plugged in, so let's just grab our glasses and get right to it. Now, normally I would have been recording yesterday, but my son and I went out kayaking, and by the time I got home, I just was tired and I could not look at any numbers. I'm still tired a little bit today, but I feel like I can actually do some numbers and have a conversation with you. All right, so let's just take a peek at what's going on here in April. We'll be going over this week, the 13th through the 19th. Um, Today is Easter. It's real quiet around the house, not a lot going on. I thought we were going to have a meal today, but we aren't. So I actually budgeted for some extra expenses for today that did not come out, which is probably a good thing because I've overspent in so many other ways this month that that's actually good. um, some of the extra things that came out, the season tickets, which will run through October, that's here this week. I won't have the new YMCA bill until the week after. So, um, I just know that these are coming up, but they'll be a little bit later this month. I paid off the remaining balance of our beach trip rental, so that's really exciting. Things are still pending as far as the transfer from my checking account into the credit card account. I use the credit card account to pay for this because it gives me points and I can apply those points back to the balance on my account. So that's still pending, but it shows that it's cleared through credit card, but it just hasn't pulled out of the checking account, which makes no sense to me, but you know, banking, yeah, it's a mystery. All right, let's go in here. So this was last paycheck. Everything balanced as expected. I did overspend on a few things, and we'll go through that here towards the end of this video, where I will show how much of my, not necessarily the percentage, but what I have spent of the budget for the month versus what the remainder is. So this month, so instead of transferring the $500 and then moving it back like a day later, I just left the $500 that I was going to transfer into sinking funds here and just only transferred $1,500 back in to account for this full $2,000 that I needed to pay off this bill. So that is paid. Some of these other expenses have come out. I just have a few remaining. I've done a little bit of calculation and I had hoped to put $700 at the end of the month into my debt, and we'll review the debt here in just a moment. That is not looking likely. It'll probably be $200 less, but it could be a little bit more depending on these variable expenses. So provided that I only spend an additional $200 in these categories, then I should be able to put 500. If I spend less than $200, then this may be just a little bit more. It'll just again depend on how my expenses are and whether or not I can rein in my just random spending, which we'll look at here in just a minute. The first part of the month, I just was buying things. Uh, I was in my old mindset of just, if the money's in the bank account, let's just go get it. If we want it, let's go buy whatever we want. And, I'm just not in that mode now since I've got this debt. I don't know how I kind of fell back into that routine. Um, so the other thing I did was, and I did take into account Amanda, who is a frequent commenter. She suggested that I really shouldn't be focusing on sinking funds right now, and I wholly agree with her. Um, and mainly because I have this debt. However, what I do want to do is still be able to forecast what I know I'm going to spend money on. One of the things that I know is coming up that is in May, and it's at the end of the May, but I will normally pay it mid-May. So roughly in 1 month, I will have a $240 bill that I'll need to pay. So I want to try and boost my, and it's a personal property tax for my car. I want to boost my transportation sinking fund a little bit so that in a month from now, I don't have to pull $240 out of my general funds. I'll at least have all or some of it already accounted for. So I'm applying that to that. The other thing I know is that when I go to the beach, and that will be in June, it'll be this week, I will be spending some extra money. I could try and be disciplined and not spend any extra money there while I'm there, but no, that's not me. And I would like to kind of set aside a little bit of money so I have some extra spending cash. So I'm trying to also account for this. So in between now and these two upcoming bills, well, I don't have the other, but I did have some other expenses that I want to put into. Um, I absolutely need some beach shoes. I'm going to have to buy that. So that would be a personal, right? So same thing with the kayak. If I did decide to buy one instead of keeping having to rent, then that would be a personal expense. So I'm considering these things in addition to the fact that I want to spend a little extra money when I get to the beach. So I am going to dribble in a little bit of extra money into travel and a little bit of extra money into transportation each paycheck. It will not be $100. It'll be more like $50 each paycheck. I put $100 here just to kind of boost the balance a little bit, so that it's not just $50. It's at least $100, which gets me closer to what I will need when I need to pay out that bill. It'll probably be like $50, but that's mostly all I'm going to do. So each paycheck, the sinking funds will be anywhere between $100 to $200, and the rest of it will go into my debt. I just need to know that I'm going to be spending some extra money, and I uh, you know, getting myself into trouble later because I didn't account for the fact that I knew I was going to spend extra isn't helpful to the long, it's really short-term goal of getting this paid off. So, and I do appreciate everybody's comments, and I do take everything you have to say to heart and think about how your comments and how your suggestions can work into what is helpful to me for my budget. So that's how I did that. It is minimal, but it does help me kind of cover what's coming up later. And just as soon as we get through probably next week, I'll come up with an amount that I'm actually going to spend because we'll be close to the end of the month and I'll kind of have a better idea of what will be needed to pay off all of my expenses and all these random things that I keep buying this month. So this was like the beginning of the month. You guys, I just spent so much money. I did. And even coming into the second paycheck, it was just like bam, bam, bam. I just, I spent $64 at Domino's. It was crazy. Why did I do that? Nobody wanted to cook. And I said, well, let's just all get something from Domino's. And then it ended up being $64. That was just so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary. Um, I did have to get some household items, which even though I, strictly speaking, didn't absolutely have to have them, I needed them. So I went ahead and got those. So again, I just had a lot of things where I just bought a lot of stuff, fair amount of gifting, lots and lots of food that I think was an overspend. I could have handled my food situation much better this month, and I will try better moving forward, actually making it to the grocery store instead of just getting food out all the time. Let's see. Here's the travel. I got that taken care of, and you can see I've already transferred it. I'm, my balance is already low. It's already really low, but I just need to rein in my extra spending. Lots and lots of things I didn't need to do. So here's just a overview of some of the ins and out of my sinking funds coming in and out. Just trying to account for some of these extra expenses coming up. And this was great having this here and not having to just kind of work it into the budget with the money that I have. That was great. Um, let's go here. This is what we're talking about for the debt. It's still roughly 34.59. Um, I'm pretty sure I have anything that I have purchased through my credit card, which I've done a few, I've paid for almost immediately. And I haven't made any real contributions to debt. I've put money into my credit card account, but that was all the things that I charged for this month so far. So even though it appears that I've put for actually it would be like $2,400 into my credit card, it's really not because it's all new charges. And then again, I'm pretty sure I'll put 700. That'll get it under 3,000, which will be awesome. I'm just making small changes. So I'm not having like the big changes I did at the beginning of the year when I had so much, um, I had the tax refund. Rachel was putting money towards the house that I actually put on the card. All of that stuff's over. So right now it's just me and my extra funds that I have coming in through my paychecks. All right, so I haven't done this yet. I'll wait till the end of the month to do this. Not much happening here. Again, I'm not really planning meals. I'm not, and this is why I think I've overspent on food so much, is because I'm not planning meals. I'm not being deliberate and intentional in how I uh, get my food. I'm just kind of winging it every day. Every day I wing it. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to eat. Oh, I'm hungry. Let's just go out. Whatever. No, it's been terrible. And this will show you why. This will show you how terrible it's been. So this is my budget for the month. So if we look at this, this is just how much I have that I've said that I will spend in all of these different ways for the month. But this is what I've actually spent. Fortunately, households, I haven't spent anything, which is great. Utilities are roughly where is expected. And as an aside, my utilities, I account for it so that it is as much as I would ever spend in a year. Whatever one month is the most I would spend, that's how much I budget for utilities. And typically most months will be less. Um, so that's how I handle that. I expect this to have a remainder balance at the end of this month because we're coming out of the cold winter months where my um, gas bill is not so high. Personal care, I did go over. This will be over probably about $10 this month, just because, again, I have overspent in a number of ways. Food, I had spent almost all of my budget in the first 2 weeks. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. I just am going to have to, yeah, I just overspent, guys, mainly for eating out. Healthcare, I did um, overspend. Now, one of the things I'd like to point out is that I had sinking funds available for this. So even though I overspent, it was accounted for in my sinking funds because I had $800 in my sinking funds to cover my glasses, and I pulled that out. I only spent like $200 on that. So even though it's over, that overage was covered through sinking funds. Entertainment's about spot on. I will not use all of this budget this month, which is good. Transportation, I will probably go over a little bit on this, and I need to adjust this a bit just because I did more because I'm going to the gym. I'm spending more money in gas, so I'm using gas more often. So I'll just have to account for that I will be using more gas than normal if I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. Pet care, I've been consistently going over my budget every month, so I'm going to raise that. I've got that noted down here. I'll show you that in just a moment. Gifting, I accounted for some gifting that I would be doing for my daughter and my son, and I do have one more expense, but my daughter and I are trying to work out when that's going to happen, and that will be another $100. Uh, yeah, it'll be roughly $100, maybe a little bit more. So I may carry this 130 gifting balance even through to next month until Rachel and I can sort out when we're going to do that. I expected to spend extra money for Easter this year, which I did not. So that's carried over. Don't have any YouTube expenses. My travel, I've got that covered. We're all set. I'm not even going to add a balance here because, you know, I essentially just needed to pay off this remaining balance. I need to adjust for my homeowner expenses because I do have a lawn service that comes out every 2 weeks and they take care of my lawn for me. Long-term savings, as expected. Miscellaneous was so far less than expected. I don't expect I'm going to have any other miscellaneous expenses at the remainder of the month for that. Um, just, you know, this I just jotted down just for, it really doesn't do anything with my budget. I just jotted down what I did. And then this is what I need to adjust for next month. I already know that I need to um, adjust my pet care. I think 45 might do it. I was thinking 40, but then I said some of them went to 45, so I'm going to do 45 next month. I do have another trip I need to make for pet care this month, and I need to get some wet cat food. So, um, yeah. So I think 45 will do it. I think 45 will do it. And then homeowner, I'm going to account for an extra $80 a month. I think that will cover that, and that'll be 1230 a month. And that'll only go through like October or so. And sometimes he doesn't even come every 2 weeks. When it gets really hot, the grass just does not grow, and he, sometimes comes every 3 weeks. So, yeah, and which is fine by me. Sometimes it gets a little bit high, but if it comes to that and I absolutely need to do something, I can go out there. I have my own lawnmower. Heck, I could even ask my son to do it if I needed to. Um, so that's kind of what that looks like. Again, I know I've overspent this month and I just need to get a handle on things and try and be a little bit more disciplined. More like I was back in February. You guys remember when I did the no spend February? And I actually did a pretty good job. But it's like I look at how much I put into all of this credit card debt, and I was just super, super on point doing that. So, yeah. I just need to be a little bit more disciplined. I don't think I need another no spend month, honestly. Um, And I did try and do a little bit of low spend here in March. And that even if you look at that, it's like when I was really being mindful about that, I was able to put money into more money into debt than what I did this month. And mainly because I was really being aware of my spending. And April, first part of April, I just threw it all out the window. I just did whatever. So I just need to get a handle on things. And again, why am I doing this channel is to be accountable, right? It's like I'm sitting here talking to you about this. I'm recognizing my inadequacies, right? I'm seeing what I did, and I'm understanding that until that debt's paid off, I can't be as um, devil may care about what I do with my funds. Because in the end, I don't want to give the bank my extra money, right? I had to give them, what is it, 50, here it is, right here. $58. And to give them that. Um, Now, you know, the really the repercussion will be next month I'll have to still give them $58, right? It's last month I did a good job bringing it down because if you look at what I spent in bank fees last month versus this month, it went down. Let me show you. Right? Bank fees $70 versus 58. And that was because I was more disciplined in March. And that showed up in April. So next month, my lack of discipline will show up in this bank fee. Um, again, the reason I'm sharing this is accountability, being able to actually look at what I'm doing. Sometimes when you have to explain and you have to show things, it makes you aware of your own faults, I guess, inadequacies. And so this is what this is doing. And it's making me aware that I just need to get a handle on things. And I appreciate you for that. Even if it's the one or two people that are watching, listening to my struggles, knowing that I'm human, right? Um, it's it's what I'm doing to help try and get through this.